All right, the study of music theory provides the knowledge of how music works. And the study of music dates back thousands of years. And it's something that we've continued to study and try to help others understand till this day, which is why I'm here to talk to you guys a bit about music theory. But today, like I said, we're going to jump right in and look at some of the basics of pitch notation and how it correlates to the keyboard. So all that said, here we go. Here are 2 octaves on a piano. You can see that there are 2 separate groupings of black notes and a bunch of white notes. Now, if you go to the left of the keyboard, the notes get lower. On the opposite side, if you go to the right, they get higher. Now, you might be thinking, what are these notes and where do they come from? So, something to know is that the white keys are named using the first 7 letters of the alphabet. And laid out in front of you here is 1 octave on a keyboard with the correlating notes written on each key. So on this diagram, the note C falls to the left of the grouping of 2 black notes, while the note F falls to the left of the grouping of 3 black notes. In Western music, the smallest distance between 2 pitches is known as the half step. A couple different examples of half steps here. Here they are played together in harmony, dissonant harmony that is. Now moving forward, the next biggest step in Western music is what is known as a whole step, which is 2 half steps put together. Now playing every other key on the keyboard will create a whole step, with the exception of E and F and B and C. And in this diagram, starting from C, you skip a note to D, you skip another note to E, and then E is adjacent to F, creating that half step. F to G skips a note, G to A skips a note, A to B skips a note, and back to C is another adjacent note, which is also a half step. Now, note names are represented by note symbols, which are placed on a series of 5 lines and 4 spaces, known as the musical staff, pictured here. There are the 5 lines and the 4 spaces. And that is the standard 5-line 4-space staff. And here you'll see how the notes of the staff correlate to the notes on a keyboard, starting from E. Now, exact names of notes in the staff are established through the use of different clefs. And we are going to focus on the treble clef and the bass clef, pictured here. Since notes occur in alphabetical order using the first 7 letters of the alphabet, once we know the identity of one note, we can easily identify the remaining notes in any staff. One thing to note about the treble clef staff is where middle C is in relation to the staff. Pictured here is the note middle C, which is also referred to as C4. And that note is found 1 ledger line below the first line of the staff. Now the treble clef, which is used for higher pitched instruments, indicates that the second line from the bottom of the staff is the note G. And like we said before, once you know one note on the staff, you can easily figure out the rest of them. Moving up in alphabetical order, we get A, B, C, D, E, F, and back to G again, 1 octave higher than the initial G that we started with. Another easy way to memorize the lines and spaces on the musical staff is with an acronym. The traditional one here is that the spaces spell the word face, and the lines, if you put them into an acronym, are every good boy does fine. Now moving on to the bass clef, we'll see here that middle C is located 1 ledger line above the top or 5th line of the staff. And that middle C is also the exact same pitch as the middle C that you find on the treble clef staff. Now the bass clef staff, used for lower pitched instruments, indicates that the 4th line of the staff is the note F, specifically F below middle C. And again, once we know that note and where that note is located, we can easily deduce the rest of the notes in the staff, as shown here. And once again, using acronyms on the bass clef, you could think good bikes don't fall apart, great big dogs fight animals, great Beethoven's deafness frustrates all. Any kind of different acronym that you can put together to help yourself memorize where these notes are on the staff. So one thing that we didn't talk about yet are ledger lines, which are basically just little extra bits of staff added above or below a 5-line staff to extend where notes are read. So in this example, if we wanted to continue up to A, we would add a ledger line and put the A right in the middle of it. So here's a quick example of ledger line options above and below the treble clef staff, as well as the bass clef staff. And these are by no means the only ledger lines used, but just so you can get a good idea of what they are and what they look like in each staff.